This tip considers the difference between how I'm going to swing my driver and how I'm going to swing my iron, and particularly I've got a short iron here. Now it stands to reason that because the golf ball is going to do two drastically different things with a drastically different looking club, the golfer's going to need to do things slightly differently. But there's a number of things we do the same, and there's a number of things we have to do differently, and it's important we don't get those things mixed up. So some golfers, when they change between a driver and an iron, will change too many elements, and some golfers will change 0 elements. Well, there's a bit of balance in that. First things we've got to consider is how the golf ball would be different in the address position. If I take a driver, for example, I'm going to position this ball right up against my lead instep. That's because the angle of attack of a driver needs to be shallower. We actually need to hit the ball on the way up because the ball's on a tee peg. However, if I try to hit a wedge on the way up, I'm going to hit the ground before the ball. I'm going to stuff the ball, hit it fat. It's not going to work at all. So with a wedge, I'd play the ball directly in the center of my stance. That would encourage me to hit down. You'll also notice with driver, if I'm up on my lead side, my body weight is going to be a bit more 60% back behind the ball at setup, and through impact I'm going to keep my spine angle behind the ball and hit the ball on the rise. Likewise with the wedge, I take the ball more in the center, I get my body weight a lot more into my lead side, and I hit down on the golf ball. I should take a divot with my wedge, I definitely shouldn't take a divot with my driver. You could also consider that from this angle here, because the club is a lot longer or a lot shorter, my driver is going to encourage me to stand a long, long way back away from the ball. My wedge is going to encourage me to stand a lot nearer to the golf ball. From the nearer position, the shaft angle here is going to encourage a slightly more up and down swing, a steeper golf swing, and the driver is going to encourage a flatter, more round, shallower golf swing. Now, you might decide that the shaft angle at setup and the way you address the golf ball determines a lot of these changes for you. So it isn't necessarily a case that when you address the golf ball, you need to think, oh, I've got a wedge, I need to swing this one up into the sky, and oh, I've got a driver, I need to swing this one around my body. You might actually take your lead from the way you're standing to the golf ball, the way the club is positioned and the shaft is positioned, that those changes happen instinctively. So it's worthwhile getting somebody to video you a couple of times, swinging with a wedge and swinging with a driver, and just consider if your swing is already making those compensation, those changes. The other consideration would be that the wedge is all about control of distance, control of yardage, control of accuracy. The driver, we have a little bit more scope to play with. We're trying to hit the ball a bit further with the driver, so therefore the swing length might change. I might feel a bit more comfortable with the wedge just swinging the golf club to, let's say, 1 o'clock. If we're 12 o'clock vertical, 1 or 2 o'clock might be enough with a wedge or an iron, because I'm all about control. With a driver, I might feel, well, I'm only taking my driver to really hit the ball hard, so I'm going to have a slightly longer backswing and therefore slightly longer follow through. Wedge might be a bit more of a held off finish, a bit more Tommy Fleetwood in the finish. Driver might be a bit more of a big full Rory McIlroy rip around the body. So you can consider how your golf swing can change between the driver and the iron. Some of the things that should be fundamental and should stay the same: we should be balanced all the time, we should be strong in posture, we should have a nice neutral grip all the time, and the rhythm, the timing and the tempo of the swing should be remaining consistent. So it's making some things change, making some things stay the same.